Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulver coming to you with another episode of Company of Heroes 2 1v1 action. The map today, pardon me for a second, the map today is going to be Westwall, and the players themselves, well, it's a familiar face down here in the south, well, over in the east really, playing the new OKW with a new spiffy kind of a couple things here and there. It is RTN Hector in the blue trunks, and the left-hand side of things it is going to be his Soviet opponent sanKa, HOI sanKa, which means all I'm thinking today while I'm casting this is nothing but cool runnings from beginning to end. If there's any sanKa you dead jokes, what's going to happen here? Taking a quick look at commanders, RTN Hector, not surprising at all. He's got Scavenge, he's got Special Operations, and he's got Luftwaffe Ground Forces, the big three. Meanwhile, sanKa is kind of settling into two of the bigger three of the Soviets. Well, a very, very standard commander, guard mortar coordination tactics, as well as Soviet industry tactics, but he's also bringing along terror tactics, which is kind of interesting. And I said it's interesting now a couple of times, mostly because, well, it requires you to get much later into the game to get a lot more of the efficacy, I would say, of the commander. And getting the IL-2, the KV-8, and even the ML-152. The shock troops early on can definitely be devastating, but it doesn't seem like he's too concerned about that just yet. No, sanKa is opening up with 3 conscript squads, and that beautiful 50-yard line marked up by the Dragon's Teeth is already going to be violated, it looks like, as it seems the Soviets are hustling down here to the south to pick up both this victory point as well as the German, not so much the German fuel, I guess this is more the German fuel. Westwall can kind of go two ways. But I guess the quicker expand is to see northeast and west and south getting picked up together. Like I've said before, so this is going to be, again, another new patch game. Maybe you're firmly in that territory, and I'm a little bit bummed because I had a couple of great games I was going to post for you guys of my own stuff, and then the, quality of life patch came through at the same time. It was like, oh, never mind, stability issue, there we go, I've just lost all my replays. But you know what? We'll get back to that very, very soon. I just didn't want to give you guys garbage games. We're going to see very early on, though, Hector's going to start to try to gang up on one of these squads of conscripts. He's going to do a pretty decent job against him, I would think. But he's overloading such a crazy, crazy amount. The Sturmpires are not getting inside this house either. But you know what? They've got these guys not quite surrounded, but they've got them pretty beat up. They pick off one, or maybe even 2 models in retreat? No, they don't. But you know what? It has allowed the Soviets to continue to seize a lot of this territory. You want to just check out, we've got the German munitions point is falling to Soviet control. The German supply situation is going to get very, very negative very, very quickly as conscripts are sliding in and behind before the Germans are going to get to that. So German fuel, that's completely gone. He's just lost 50% of his fuel income. But he is starting to get himself more seriously. He's bringing more Volksgrenadiers to match the 4 conscript opening of the Soviets. And his Sturmpires, of course, are going to do a mess of damage to these conscripts up close and personal. Unfortunately, when they get outnumbered 2 to 1, it's going to go rather negatively. But no, never mind. The SDGs pull through along with the support of the charging Volksgrenadiers. That's not going to say everything's coming up amazing for them anyway, though, as you see them getting outflanked in yellow cover as opposed to green. But that directional is definitely going to be devastating. Hector, you got to get out of there now, buddy. There he goes. He's finally going to get away, I think. Nope, never mind. Gets picked off on retreat. And that's just really, really unlucky. Not sure what he's calling abuser already, but you know what? You know what? That happens sometimes. Volksgrenadiers coming in behind the Soviets. The flankers are in turn flanked. I kind of feel like I'm watching Gods and Generals here with the Union troops getting smashed between the valiant forces of Stonewall and neither here nor there. Soviets are backing off, though. 3 different squads below 20% health. And indeed, the other ones aren't looking too wonderful either. It doesn't look like sanKa is really going to open up too quickly with medics. No, he's got the medics on board already. That's probably good for him. But the Germans have stabilized their supply position. They're taking the southern VP. They have the northern one already. And it looks like the Soviets will finally start to lose tickets as this game continues. Oh, there we go. It's kind of cool. Actually, they do get on certain fire steps. Not 100% perfect, but you know what? I've always enjoyed that about this game. Volksgrenadiers still very much going to get destroyed here, I should think. I hope Hector's not going to fall into the salt mine. That would be kind of annoying. You spacebar and all stuff. That's one thing about Hector. Hector has always typed with just periods between everything. Oh well. But a Rock 3 flamethrower coming out now on top of these combat engineers. And the Germans are going to be forced into a rather defensive posture. I know the map itself looks rather positive for them, but the infantry game is going to get more and more negative the longer that the Germans don't have any kind of STGs on the field. And while not usually, I guess Hector does tend to go for STGs a little later in the game, it would be nice to see him pulling them up sooner. It's going to even the playing field a little bit more. It is worth noting that we are going to see Volksgrenadiers down here to the south taking the Soviet fuel. Probably going to lose that just as soon as they pick it up, but for right now, Hector is, never mind, there it goes. He's not going to be able to take it. Of course, those conscripts getting in just before all the bad stuff happens. And these guys are paying the price for it. Good gosh, I've never seen such effective conscripts here. And we're going to see a battle group headquarters coming on down from Hector. Does that mean he's going to be bringing in an AA half-track or something like that? That's definitely a possibility. I think that might be even perhaps a decent decision under the circumstances. But first things first, he's going to call in those medics. It's a good call right there, as the Soviets are taking their time decapping and recapping for their own benefit. And Volkswagens continue to just find engagements all over the map in a very, very negative sense. We finally also are going to go see some of these STGs here. An incendiary grenade is going to push these concepts closer. And with all the new STGs coming onto the field, that's not going to be great for those Soviets, though, either. You see one squad getting forced back already. Combat engineers looking to try to stall and hold up the German advance. But as soon as those STGs come in, those combat engineers are going to get pushed aside, I should think. AT grenades also being called in already for the Soviets, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I guess your opponent could theoretically be rushing something like a P2, or even that AA half-track that I mentioned before. But you would think it would take even perhaps a little bit longer than that. STG Volksgrens now both inside and outside this garrison, taking out that retreating combat engineer. But with the help of the Maxim, both squads are pushed into a very, very swift retreat. Meanwhile, in the north, the Germans are finding out that 4 is greater than 1 rifle over here, as another squad is going to be forced back. And indeed, we have a stabilization, I would say, of the game state. A 1-to-1 cap with the Russians moving on in to pick up the middle VP. Of course, that MG34 right there will have something to say about that. Though, the Maxim will be able, I think, to do a teensy bit more damage than Hector's machine gun is going to be able to handle. Germans, in the meantime, lose their VP in the north, even as Volksgrenadiers come around to put pressure onto this Maxim. Soft retreat happening here, but at the same time, conscripts are coming around the flank of the MG34. So I'm kind of curious here. Is it... No, Volksgrenadiers are going to try to hang in just long enough to put some more fire with the STGs. Any second now. They manages to get it, but unfortunately at the same time, those guys get pinned out in the open by the Maxim and a very, very lucky burst of fire, I would say, from those conscripts. And in the meantime, we'll see the MG34 getting thrashed and pushed away. 9 minutes into this game, Germans are under a triple cap right now, and going to see a third truck coming in. Is it going to be just looking to get that fast Schwerpanzer headquarters? I would like to think so. But then again, okay, that we do finally have the Sturmpile squad back on the field. These guys haven't seen any action yet, though, which means they might be in kind of a poor state to meet Soviet infantry out in the field. We see a tank heavy battalion command coming down in the meantime for the Soviets, while Volksgrenadiers are trying to move in and around, but I believe, yep, this Maxim is going to not get any fire off too quickly, I don't think. And that will allow the SDGs in turn to hustle on up here to the middle VP. With that green cover going to do pretty darn well against those conscripts, taking out a model already and just completely and totally melting their health pool. Taking almost no damage in return. Never mind, guys. These Sturmpires are here to stay. They're doing good work here. Kicking Soviet tail pretty quickly. The question is, can they stand up to the mighty Rock 3 flamethrower. That will really be where the rubber meets the road. Well, they managed to seize the middle VP, even as their brethren take the south. And both, I would say, both engineer squads are not in the best of shape at this point, but the combat engineers you can see are getting hammered and getting pushed back with a bare 2 models and just a teensy bit of health left to them. STG pilots in the meantime continue their reign of terror, 7 kills now up to them, as the Germans are going to take the northern side of things. And I'm wondering, are we going to see, yep, here comes the Sheriff Panzer headquarters. We put down, I would say, probably in this area. No, he's not. Behind the house. Looking to cover that, what's the term I'm looking for here? Oh no, he's not. He's rushing away from this T-70. It's probably a good idea as well. T-70 is out on the map, and this is the slightly nerfed T-70, by the way, folks. This is the one that doesn't have self-repair anymore. He doesn't have the ability to just kind of be a ridiculous OP light machine. But don't count him out just yet. He can definitely cause a good effect on the map if given the opportunity. Meanwhile, we look over here to the western side, see sanKa has decided to go for those terror tactics, and like I said, this is going to be, I guess, a little bit sooner than I always kind of anticipate. But that KV-8 is going to be another 4 or 5 minutes, I would think. And the IL-2s, I never got a ton of usage out of 200 Muni bomb drops. Germans, in the meantime, going to get outnumbered down here to the south, going to get pushed away and pushed around. Okay, Germans turn. Oh my gosh, the Germans could have turned around and just completely and totally thrashed this conscript infantry. Once again, folks, this is now the patch in which, if you don't have troops close enough to one of your constructions, that construction just falls apart. Whether that's mines, whether that's sandbags or fighting positions, it is going to be bananas if you walk away. Things are going to explode. It's just going to be not a good, positive experience. T-70, in the meantime, shows that he's not just a light tank with no use whatsoever, even as the Shredder Panzer headquarters is now giving a little bit of cover to this MG-34. Now, I kind of like the Shredder Panzer headquarters being more aggressive, but at the same time, even with this little natural brouhaha in the middle of the field, a Zis gun could easily take it out, and I believe that's what we're going to see soon enough. Volksgrenadiers coming in behind, trying to do more damage out onto the T-70 and the combat engineers. Damage that engine again, just to annoy that guy, I dare say. And Hector just continues to hustle on to the front. Not the best idea in my mind, but you know what? Aggression is aggression. Maxim's going to bring this Raketenwerfer under fire, and the Raketenwerfer can no longer just cloak immediately. Which is going to mean that either this machine gun... Sniper T-70. Jeez. Yep, the Raketenwerfer is forced away. I was going to say that either this machine gun is able to pin the Soviet Maxim, and it seems he is not... He's able to pin him, but not able to prevent the Raketenwerfer from being forced away. And in the meantime as well, the MG-34 is going to find himself coming under fire from these conscripts, but with the help of AP incendiary ammo and another Volksgrenadier squad, looks like he's going to be able to stabilize that situation as well. One of those little support artillery barrages coming out of this Zis gun, the light arty barrage there. We're going to see the Volksgrenadiers come under fire, and I would think be able to take this position, though not without losses. Of course, we take a look at this and realize that bigger and bigger crater is gouged out in the middle of the battlefield.
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
And now, we're kind of wondering, Hector is bringing in an ISG, so he's planning to have this game go the distance. I'm not sure if I really would want to believe in that just yet. I'd like to think instead that he's just holding out to bring in like a P4 or a Jagdpanzer or something like that. sanKa, in the meantime, has unlocked his 152mm howitzer, and I suppose that could be decent. He wouldn't have to worry, yikes, this machine gun's getting savaged. One more round goes long. I'd like to think that 152 could do the work that the Zis gun can't really manage at this point. Two very beaten up squads are thrown down on each other. One model left on the Volksgrenadier, and he decides it's probably better for him to back away. In the meantime, we are going to see this ISG is snuggled up right next to the Schwerpanzer headquarters, and he's trying to make sure he can get, I would say, a line of fire on that anti-tank gun. In the meantime, Hector is still complaining about the fact that this T-70 is just doing tons and tons of work. 11 kills. And it looks like an ISG shot was more than enough to push away. Wow, that's pretty brutal. Meantime, Obersoldaten coming on out. Volksgrenadiers, if you're going to put fire down, here's the time. Here they go, finally getting around over into the western side of the map here. T-70 is coming on into support against these Volksgrenadiers, and the Volksgrenadiers are not going to be able to hold on to this. At the same time, the Maxims are also coming under fire, which means that this ISG is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is put down distance interdictory fire here, beating up on that machine gun quite well. But alright, in the north we will see the Soviets are taking the northern VP. This Germans still hold the center of the map, but for how long? And in the south, it's going to be going over to the conscripts as well in about another 6 to 8 seconds. Now the ISG is just trying to put fire down on top of this gun, maybe. And unfortunately, he's just a little bit behind the times. Meanwhile, the North Obers are coming out, and these guys don't quite yet have their LMGs. But the second that they do, it could be a rather good surprise, I would say, for the Soviets. Good, as in quite negative, obviously. Now, Hector, my friend, Boo Boo. P4? Panther, even? No, for the moment, the Obers are just going to try to throw down on top of this gun, which is going to be good if we can hold it down and keep hammering that crew, but at what cost? These guys are expensive. Oh, okay, he's trying to lure that T-70 on in. It looks like he's going to be able to do so. One other round? No, not quite yet. You know, the ISG is going to continue to put rounds down range, and this is the perfect time, I would say, to put down that 152 and start shelling the bejesus out of this area. This is oddly good. Oh, here comes a KV-8. Okay, that's going to be very difficult for the Germans to stop, especially under the current army composition here. We are going to see Volksgrenadiers have a wet noodle contest down here to the south and force back conscripts. This ISG machine gun look like they're going to be just enough to hold back the Russian attack here, at least until the KV-8 comes on in. Once the KV-8 is here, well, friends, Romans, countrymen, that's not going to go well for the Germans. I believe that Hector's going to find that out right now, as his Volksgrenadiers begin to get savaged. Now a couple more rounds are coming in, but this Rakettenwerfer is probably not long for this world. He is getting a couple of rounds down range, but nope, he's going to get decrewed. There it is, and so that Rakettenwerfer is completely and totally worthless now. MG-34 coming on in as well. ISG going to be forced back. T-70 coming in to tank the hits, no pun intended. The KV-8 coming on in now should be able to burn an 8 down. No, he's not hanging around for it. Never mind, folks. This KV-8 is just abashed and shocked. He's backing away in the face of this potential devastation. Take a quick look at Veteran C in the meantime. We will see that all the initial conscript squads are still alive. Combat Engineer is a replacement, as I recall. And this Maxim is still here, giving a decent amount of veterancy around the field. These Obers are going to run into the Maxim and going to get completely and totally suppressed in about 1 or 2 bursts of fire. You can see them going down right there, taking a model, but at what cost? Well, I'll tell you what cost. We are going to see a Jagdpanzer coming onto the field as well, so while the Obers are pinned, and while these Volksgrens are coming in to recapture this KV-8, to recapture this Rakettenwerfer against the KV-8, mind you, we are going to see also a Jagdpanzer coming forward onto the field, and with that, he should be able to pummel the KV-8 and push back pretty much everything else, as long as this gun doesn't get the base kill that he's looking for. Okay, so the Germans have been able to stop this particular assault, 361 to 322, as we close in on the 20-minute mark. Just now it's an attack ground order. Yes, this is. So this is going to be one of those long-term extended plays where the Soviets just start trying to pound the German positions here. Meantime, ISG comes back up to his old haunt, locking himself right next to the Schwerpanzer headquarters and putting fire down upon the Soviets to the north. KV-8 getting repaired in the meantime, and his this gun just going to continue to throw rounds into the great darkness. And doing some decent work too, if nothing else. Something's pudding tier than cons. If nothing else, oh geez, here comes the bombing run. I might have been around here, folks. Well, there goes the Pioneer Squad. And this Schwerpanzer headquarters might go down soon by himself as well. One more round will do it. And if that happens, I imagine Hector's going to probably quit pretty darn soon. This guy does not like going down tech structures. There it is. There's a complaint about GG. And 21 minutes in, though, he would have more than enough time to go for something like a late game. Wow, some salt going back and forth here.
Enemy forces are attempting to capture territory.
Could definitely have been an opportunity for him to call something in like a Special Operations Doctrine instead of going for the Jagdpanzer, instead just depending upon commanders for that later game material. ISG just petulantly throwing rounds down range. I might as well just speed this up a little bit. There's going to be no legitimate movement forward.
Losing supplies to the enemy.
Okay, so we're going to see this Jagdpanzer charging on forwards and a little bit of FU material happening here. This gun going to throw rounds into him, and I don't think that this main gun is going to be able to penetrate that. The 45mm, it's not that powerful. It's a very much a short barrel, I would say, as well. But the KV-8 must know that there's not a whole lot left to stand up against him. So here comes the first death, I would say. Flame on. And the ISG is going to find himself taken out pretty darn quickly. And that's another thing about this KV-8, is the KV-8 is just a brutally armored vehicle. And with the assistance now of the Zis gun, these two guys are not going to be long for this board, I don't think. sanKa could even call in a second KV-8 if he wants to just speed up the death knell for Hector here.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
Meantime, to the north, we are going to see that Obersoldaten and this very wounded MG-34 squad is going to shift up, trying to take back one of these VPs. And this this Rakettenwerfer, I keep wanting to say ISG. This Rakettenwerfer is creeping on forwards. He's going to get a couple of rounds off, but it's not going to do a huge amount, especially with these combat engineers here repairing it. Now, if there's Jagdpanzer over here to continue to pound on it, that'd be one thing. But now there's two flamethrowers, and these guys are dead immediately. So Hector not doing what he needs to do here. Obersoldaten bravely trying to shoot and take out a T-70 with machine guns, but nope, another MG and cannon round goes in, and that is the end of another brave German infantry squad. Meanwhile, the Jagdpanzer is creeping on in, taking out the T-70. Could come in behind this KV-8, but apparently he's not looking to push this at all. Has Hector just completely and totally given up? He's not even picked a commander. I don't know, but he's throwing himself away in bonsai charges that are more appropriate in a World War II movie than in this particular moment. This gun coming in as well, just kind of throwing around at the Jagdpanzer if he should ever be seen. And Hector has not even called in that final truck. The truck is just chilling down here for absolutely no reason. He could have made a play from this. 198 to 322. You can just see how much extra time he's got. And calling in Volksgrenadiers instead of calling in another tech structure, calling in any sort of, what's the term I'm looking for here? Commander equipment. Heck, there we go. Flakpanzer. Two Flakpanzers. More than enough to take on this infantry here, even with AT grenades, and more than enough to push back the Zis gun. At that point, all you have to worry about is the KV-8, and the KV-8 does not match up well, in terms of main battle cannon anyway, to the Jagdpanzer. But Hector refuses to say died. He also refuses to really push the envelope on army composition. ISG goes over to sanKa, and sanKa says, feel the rhythm and feel that rhyme. Get on up, it's Soviets time. And even with the warm feelings being thrown his way by Hector, I believe he's going to be able to pull this one out. You see the map right now, it's going more and more red. In the meantime, yep, Soviets continue to kind of waltz around the field, taking points almost at leisure. Not doing it for free, mind you, taking some losses while that happens. But, not being overly concerned, I would say. 14 kills on this KV-8. In the meantime, this guy is ready to cook some more goose. It is the holidays. And look at this. Look at this position in the center part of the map. Machine gun. Sandbag position with the conscripts behind it. ISG. Gun backing everything up. This is a very well-rounded position that if the Germans had any sort of either armored presence or really will to live, they would be able to take this on in a heartbeat. But it seems like he's not going to do it. Instead, nope. Sturmpires are charging on forwards. Got a squad of Volksgrenadiers that's completely pinned. Jagdpanzer's coming on in. They could do some work against this KV-8. But there's also a Gun that's still here, and a couple of rounds from the Gun would probably pretty quickly compel the Jagdpanzer to retreat. Sturmpires in the meantime do go down on the retreat. As the Volksgrenadiers coming on in, are they going to try to throw a Panzerfaust? Maybe. But nope, he seems he refuses to do that. And now a howitzer is on the field. The question is, where's that barrage going to go? You know, and it actually would be completely balanced if there would be any manner of, I would say, intelligent teching coming out of our OKW player. But it seems he is just totally resigned to kind of complaining about things instead. In the meantime, this house is not going to be long for this world either. I just want to see one more round of impact and just take this guy out. Well, ISG's firing at the same time as well, so machine gun's not going to die necessarily. In fact, it gets out just before that last round impacts. And as KV-8's charging on in, taking that, well, excuse me, Jagdpanzer takes out the KV-8. And it looks like that Gun might manage to get that last shot. Oh no, deflects. Okay, so the Jagdpanzer is still alive. But Hector has still not decided to really bring in anything else efficient. We're going to see conscripts charging on forwards because why the heck not? If he can afford it, he's got more than enough position to do it. He's got more than enough tickets. And he's having himself a good old time, as this now the howitzer is going to probably turn and begin to fire over in this general region. ISG, though captured, has now done a fair amount of damage over against the Germans. And now the second KV-8 on the field, I don't know why Hector has not been able to really press home his lack of advantage. Ah, that's why. Because he's only finally teching into a commander now, as opposed to doing it about, 15 minutes ago. Volksgrenadiers throwing out that grenade assault, doing some work against this house, and really driving down the property values, and indeed running in on top of their own grenades. But, doesn't seem to matter too much at this point. A T-34-76 is on the field. Question is, where is this howitzer firing? He's pounding home sector. Let's get a couple cinematic shots out of this one. There we go. Kind of a couple of gorgeous shots here and there. And with that, we will see a pretty quick tap out, I would suggest. KV-8, just speed this up, guys. There's no reason for you guys to suffer through this any more than I am. Jagdpanzer comes on in, and even though he's going to go and start scratching the paint on this KV-8, Gun, number 1, 76, number 2. But it looks like he's ready to just commit seppuku. And Jagdpanzer is going to buy it. He's going to go stop, just decamouflage, going to just run away as quickly as possible.
The enemy has 100 points remaining.
And listen, this T-34 is not even willing just to commit. There we go. So he's just shocked, shocked this Jagdpanzer. While the KV-8 has switched over to that 45 millimeter. And no, here comes the bombing run, folks. And I think it's going to be a tap out. A little bit of just a cinematic bombing run, I would suggest. And that's it. Hector has bowed out at 30 minutes and 36 seconds, unfortunately not giving us the fight we were hoping for. And sanKa, in the meantime, just plays a very standard game. Picks up 4 conscripts, picks up a Maxim, and just kind of rides those to victory. End score 322-83. sanKa is the victor by way of surrender from Hector's side. And it might have been better if Hector had selected a commander a little bit sooner here, and indeed had not been quite so aggressive with some of those earlier charges. In any case, folks, that's going to be it for me today. As we say goodbye to the West Wall, I will see you guys all soon, and this is Con Ulrich signing off. You all have a great day. Take it easy.